Willkommen zurück. Wir betreten jetzt Noctis. Ich bin gespannt.
They're trying to open the roof. You! Up there! Stop! Stop! It's Nisha! Listen to me! Stop! We'll take care of the creatures!
I'm sorry, Nisha! I'm stopping right now! But I'll only be able to open the doors for you once the area is completely secured!
So nicht, Leute, so nicht. Verdammte Kacke. Noch mehr? Na klar. Alter, willst du mich verarschen? Hallo.
They can get us access now.
If I weren't one to be wary of all corporate rejects, I might be elated. Do you feel it, Zachariah? We are about to enter a legendary city.
Outcasts. Get used to it, old pal. That's us too now.
Nisha, I'm so glad to see you. We were starting to get worried about you. The news from Ophir sounded a little chaotic. You look healthy.
Worried? About me? Give me some credit. Let me introduce you to Zachariah Mancer. He's the reason why I'm here.
Look at that. The Technomancer who saved us from the Vori. Interesting. Very interesting. Happy to see you again. Now I understand why the Prince was insistent. He'll want to see you as soon as possible.
The Prince?
Dandolo. He rules our city. If I were you, I wouldn't keep him waiting. He loses patience quickly. There's nothing like fresh news for him to be on pins and needles. But don't worry, he's a charming man, and he loves Nisha.
Very well. I'll go see him.
Happy to see you in one piece, Zachariah.
Beg? I feel like I got ripped off.
Apologies. We were forced to improvise. Playing a simpleton is a great way to avoid attention when you are a mutant. You can go see the Prince now, but come back later. There's something I would like to discuss. I will be near the sand sails.
Wait a... Your name's Andrew, isn't it? We went to the academy together. But didn't we... I overheard you talking to Master Connor after I brought him to meet you.
I guess you overheard. Very well. Come find me once you've met with the Prince. We'll talk about it. Go now. Don't keep him waiting.
Erstmal looten hier. Ich frage mich ja, was passiert wäre, wenn wir so gehandelt hätten, wie es von uns vorgesehen wurde. Dass wir quasi alle getötet hätten, blablablub. Die Rebellen-Chefin da verhaftet hätten. Ob wir denn jetzt quasi in den Ring draufgestiegen wären oder ob das im Prinzip trotzdem dieselbe Handlung geblieben wäre. So, jetzt glaube ich, haben wir alles weggelootet. Aber bevor wir da jetzt reingehen, will ich mich doch hier nochmal schnell umsehen. Das ist ja nicht sehr sicher, wenn du hier rüber nur die Sonnensäge kontrollierst. Okay. Gut, das werden wir eh noch alles erkunden. So, nun gut.
Most exotic goods on the planet. All here, in one stall.
So, Waren prüfen, please. Verkauf. Ach so, das ist dasselbe. Verkaufen, zack. Jeffreys Helm. Ach, guck an. Ich wusste gar nicht, dass es so farbige Gegenstände gibt. Den könnte man doch aufsetzen, oder? So. Ziehen wir die doch mal an jetzt hier. Die Rüstung haben wir nicht zufällig von ihm gekriegt, ne?
Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zach. Everything all right?
Ich wollte gar nicht mit dir sprechen. Nach dir sprechen. Okay. Gehen wir erstmal straight zum Prinzen, würde ich sagen. Achso, Punkteverteilung. Wie wär's denn damit noch? Ein Punkt haben wir jetzt hier wieder. Wissenschaft. herstellen. Ist das? Wo ist jetzt der Unterschied mit der Heilung von Gefährten? Verstehe ich nicht. Charisma. Ach so, Leben für Gefährten. Schaden für Gefährten? Das ist ja auch nicht verkehrt. Ich glaube, dann gehe ich erstmal hier hin. Zack. So, wann kriegst du wieder was? 25, ach du J. Und hier haben wir 3 Punkte mittlerweile angesammelt. Elektroschaden erhöhen. Oh, gut. Ja, damit. So. Ach so, das ist ja wieder das Fahrzeug hier, ne? Reisen, genau. Aha. Die haben Flugmaschinen.
You wanted to see me?
Yes. I apologize once again for having to play this role in front of you, but the situation was a difficult one, and I could not risk blowing my cover.
I understand. You're one of Dandolo's spies too?
No. I work for my people, even if Dandolo was a precious ally. I was in Ophir to plan an escape, but it was not exactly what I wanted to tell you about. I would like to offer you my services.
You're also a mercenary?
No. I am not interested in serum, and a Technomancer ally, yes. It is rare for mutants to know someone with your talents. So if you need a hand or any information, you know where to find me. And maybe I will ask for your services once in a while.
All right.
Puh, dann machen wir das doch gleich, oder?
What really happened with your mother? I must say I didn't understand much. That stone? The police's arrival?
My mother was helping me as much as she could to carry out my mission. She would provide me with information, sometimes hide mutants on the run before they could leave the city. She was a wonderful woman, Zack, but someone turned her in. Fiorello heard and raced to get me out with your aid. Though how I yearned to save her, to get to the slums to warn her. But I knew I could not. You, though, could. The stone was a token of recognition. She knew what it meant. If she was turned in, she had to leave as soon as possible. And if she couldn't, the drawing was made with an ink made of jellyfish venom.
But why give her that poison?
I didn't want her to die, Zack. I loved my mother. But I knew what the ASC would do to her in their jail. If they caught her, she needed a way to avoid being tortured.
Okay, cool, dass das jetzt noch aufgelöst wurde.
When did you discover that you were a mutant?
The first symptoms of mutation appeared when I was very young. I must say that I can't really remember very well. My mother noticed them, and she taught me how to hide the marks, even though I think that I didn't know what it meant. She was hoping to keep me close to her, but as soon as the first marks appeared on my face, they spotted me out right away. I will never forget my arrest, how violent they were toward my mother. I was just a kid. I was sent to one of the farms on the outskirts of town. That's where I learned what it meant to be a mutant.
What's the Mutant Nation? You created it, right?
It is a little overblown, but I was one of its founders, among many others. Of course, other mutants were living outside the city as runaway slaves, hidden here and there, stealing whatever they could find in order to survive. A small community had settled in Noctis and benefited from the hospitality of the merchants, who allowed them to move around freely. However, we did not have any way to defend ourselves or plan a future. We were all spread out. A few of us decided to get together. We found a place, a very unique one, and we soon started doing it up, bringing in equipment and erecting houses. As for me, I especially wanted to free as many brothers and sisters as possible. So I went back to Ophir, and I realized that nobody cared about mutants. especially if they didn't look very smart. I began to help dozens of them escape. And our nation soon began to grow. There are a lot of us now, and I hope that all mutants will be able to live there someday.
What can you tell me about Ophir's mutant pen?
You saw for yourself. Violent slave drivers and harsh work conditions have reduced mutants to beasts, to the point where even some find themselves yearning to be petted. I do not hate humans, you know that. But when I think about that place, I feel outbursts of hatred. I would like to break the walls and see my brothers and sisters get out of that hell. Someday, I think that I'll do it. I'll destroy the pen.
What does Noctis represent for you?
It is the city of our allies. Without it, Mutant Valley would have probably never come into existence, even if some of them think the opposite. This town is welcomed and still welcomes many runaway mutants. Here they can free themselves from the servile state they were in. Noctis is somehow the freedom school for many of them. Of course, it remains a human city, and segregation is sometimes present even if it is not official. And I don't completely agree with Dandolo's decisions, but overall it is a place that I love that boasts of mixing everyone together, of bringing all philosophies into dialogue with each other and of welcoming the hopeless.
Dann haben wir noch die letzten Punkte hier.
What do you think of Amelia?
She's an interesting young and courageous woman, but abundance brainwashed her. As long as she hasn't completely cut ties with the corporation, she will remain wary of everything, of anything foreign. I think that she has some pity for us mutants. That's more generous than what humans usually give us, but we don't need pity. We are a new people, not a gang of monsters regretting who they were. Maybe she will come to realize this. She is not stupid, and when it comes down to it, she has a thirst for freedom despite all the brainwashing she went through.
What can you tell me about Andrew?
He is a hurt man. He hides his suffering under a cynical and detached attitude. But he lost way more than his arm, even if I do not know what it is. If you could help him heal his wounds and become what he ought to become, you will discover without a doubt that he is a very giving friend. And maybe he will be less bitter.
What do you think of Nisha?
She's an unusual woman, Zack. She was locked up, tortured when she was a child. She managed to get out of the situation, and despite what she went through, she went back to Ophir under a false identity. Believe me, you have to be strong to do that. She is the best possible spy. She helps us as much as she can by providing us with vital information on the slave transfers so that we can go free them. And I know that Dandolo respects her a lot. But watch out. She is far from being the sweet and smiling young woman you met in Ophir. She is brilliant, generous, and she can also be merciless.
What do you think of Scott?
He's a great scientist, most likely a very good doctor.
Is that it?
Something bothers me about him, Zachariah. No doubt he appreciates you a lot. I learned that he went through a hard time, but I have a feeling that his sweet eccentricity is hiding something. But I don't know what, therefore I won't say anything else.
Okay. Tschüss. So. Ich dachte hier, Andrew steht vielleicht hier so rum, aber wir können auch mit ihr talken. Oder ist das Andrew? Ah.
Hey. Hey, back.
Should have remembered you. Back when we were kids, the world just revolved around you.
Really? How so?
Ich kann aber, weiß ich doch nicht.
You were quite the charmer. Everyone gravitated to you. Made me feel like I didn't even exist. I was just one of the many kids who dreamed of being your friend. Remember the feeling more than anything else.
Funny you remember that. Yeah, we were both kind of... Neither one of us really fit in. We were just outsiders in different ways. I tried to do too much, tried to make up for being different. You were just always yourself. You must have felt so alone, but you never made friends just to fill the loneliness. Never thought I'd see you again, Zachariah. Let alone ever have this conversation with you. I'm happy to have found you. Again. Even if it comes with all those bad memories.
What should I know about the Caravanserai?
It's the heart of Noctis, the home of the Merchant Prince, and the place where all the merchants' important transactions happen. That's where they decide on the trajectory of the main cargo routes throughout the planet. Historically, it's also the first place out of the corporation's reach on Mars. I like the place a lot. It's very peaceful compared to other places, and the architecture is splendid. The Merchant Prince has a taste for luxury. I could have spent 10 years there. I bet I would smile a bit more than I do now.
What can you tell me about Noctis?
It's a free enclave in a world dominated by dictatorial corporations, created by merchants in order to facilitate the exchange of goods from everywhere. It's become a place that also welcomes refugees from all walks of life. I love this city. You can find anything you want. Mercenaries, preachers, craftsmen, all kinds of merchants, princes and thieves. And don't get me started on the extensive variety of artifacts from all around the planet. It's quite mind-numbing, but it's the place where everything is possible. Far from the yoke imposed by corporations.
As a merchant, you must have traveled a lot. What amazing places have you visited?
Well, when I was a kid, I lived in Ophir, a place you probably know better than me. But with Marcello, the merchant to whom I belonged, we mostly traveled to Shadowlair. He knew a number of Technomancers, including renegades, and used to sell them equipment found by looters. It's an old Baroque city, with dirt-poor slums. As strange as it may sound, corporations' big cities all look the same in the end, beyond the few differences they flaunt.
So, was haben wir jetzt noch? Infos über Personen und Gruppierungen. Die Gefährten. Oho, ja, der Ringe. Achso, okay.
You've known Nisha for a while, haven't you?
Not that long. I've been on the road most of the time for the last few years, and I've run into her a couple times. I've been in Noctis for about a year now. She's a wonderful woman. Courageous, driven. She's ready to risk her life for the city. Personally, even though I love Noctis, I wouldn't do it. She's generous too. But she has her own wounds, like all of us. She's full of anger sometimes. I think she has a few scores to settle. You know that she's from Ophir too?
What do you know about the mutants?
Which ones? The ones who were locked up, mistreated, considered to be mere beasts by the corporations? Or the ones who live freely on Mars's surface?
I was thinking about the free mutants.
They're almost all former slaves, you know. In the end, there are only a few of them who were born outside the corporations. They managed to quickly build a culture, to make the planet their own like no other human had done before. They don't see the Martian environment as hostile, but more as a land of countless opportunities. They're actually aware of the fact that they will never go back to Earth. It's become their home due to the circumstances. What else can I say? They're courageous, ready to fight for their brother's freedom. Some of them even want to get rid of the humans, from what I've heard, which I can understand. I respect them a lot.
Die waren hier noch gar nicht durch.
What do you think of Amelia?
But sometimes the way she speaks would make caravan drivers blush. But she's a great girl. Brave, talented. Too bad about the way abundance brainwashed her.
What do you think of Scott?
Did you know I met him in Ophir? When I was a kid. He was my family's doctor, but I have a feeling he's gone completely crazy since then. He was already a little strange, but now he's completely nuts. That's too bad. He's a great scientist.
You have it in for them, the Technomancers, don't you?
It's true. I must say that they didn't put their best foot forward last time I saw them. All they managed to do was hide their inability at the price of my enslavement. I love technomancy. And this extraordinary feeling of freedom and power it gives you. But those who practice it for the corporations have a real issue. Whether it be for Abundance or Aurora, they can't help hiding ridiculous things. Twisted rituals, and keeping a people they despise out of their little schemes.
Maybe there's a reason for it, don't you think?
You probably know better than me, but it doesn't make them look nice.
Do you know Phobos well?
Well, kind of. I've run into him several times, yes. He heads a wonderful fight, and I truly hope that he succeeds. The corporations have exploited and squeezed everybody way too much, the mutants in particular. It's time for all this to stop. He's a great actor. I saw him play a simpleton with terrific aplomb, whereas he's one of the most intelligent men I know.
So, ich glaube, das hatten wir eben schon aus Versehen angeklickt. Die Händler und die Einwohner von Noctis fehlen noch.
You know the merchants.
Even though knowing a few individuals doesn't mean that you know the group they belong to, getting rich is their main focus. And some of them behave like assholes to get what they want. But this doesn't apply to all of them. Most of them are intelligent, opportunistic, and pragmatic. But they're also more open-minded than the corporation's citizens. Your job, origin, even being a mutant doesn't matter, as long as you bring them business.
What can you tell me about the people of Noctis?
We're free to say anything and everything. You still think way too much like a member of Abundance, where the population pretty much has the same opinion. Here, people come from everywhere. Most of them used to be misfits, criminals, or simply eccentrics who didn't fit in back home. You find merchants, the offspring of the city's founders, hitmen from Aurora, dissenting workers from Abundance, or beggars from Alliance. And mutants, of course. This mix sometimes creates problems and tensions, but as long as everybody works together to protect Noctis, all is well.
Nun gut. Dann war's das für diese Folge. Und wir machen das nächste Mal weiter. Spitze, bedanke mich. Bis dann.